We're gonna keep saying it.
Okay, you're rolling.
I'm rolling.
So let's start with an introduction. Who are you and where are we?
Where are we? Hi, my name is Eliyahu Kanush. We are in Efrat in Gush Etzion. To be precise, we are in kind of the central Gush Etzion. I've been living in Gush Etzion for 20 years. I came as a yeshiva student to a little yeshuv, a little settlement that's called a settlement, called Bat Ayin. I came to learn in the yeshiva. What drew me to that yeshiva was that it was a place for creative types, artistic types, spiritual types. We'd have meditation. There was a lot of singing and dancing and music and engaging in Torah in creative ways, like bibliodrama and campfires inside of little caves, hiking. So that's what brought me to these parts at first. I've lived here for 20 years, been married for 18 years. Woo! Come to our anniversary party. If this comes out before, it's going to be on the Thursday of Hanukkah at the Silo Cafe. Come bring a musical instrument or ready to dance. And yeah, this is where God Almighty has planted me, in the land of Israel, in the hills of Judea. Did I know? No, I didn't know. I thought I was coming for 6 weeks. The backstory is very simple. I grew up in San Francisco, and at age 13, I kind of had a conservative reform Jewish education. Come from a Holocaust survivor mother from Poland, from Lodz. She's a child of Holocaust survivors, and a sort of Holocaust survivor on my father's side, who's an Iraqi Jew. He was born in 42, whereas in 41 was the Farhud, which is Arabic for anarchy, which was like a Kristallnacht that happened. This isn't a history lesson, but so I had a very peculiar kind of identity growing up in San Francisco, not knowing who I was. And when they said at age 13, now you have free choice, so my choice was leave it all alone and invent myself. So changed my name and said, don't talk to me about anything Jewish. And that was kind of how I lived my life from age 13 to 23. And at age 23, I almost literally got a tap on the shoulder from the God of Israel, sitting in a meditation retreat, 10-day silent meditation retreat. And I started hearing voices saying, "Hey, Jew boy." I looked around, I didn't see anybody there. And it was that kind of voice, certainly not a prophet, but when I read Tanakh and I hear about, I think it was Shmuel, right? Who said like he heard voices going, Shmuel, Shmuel. It was like this undeniable voice. I looked around, nobody else seemed to be hearing it, and said, go daven mincha. Go daven mincha. I had no idea what mincha was, but I realized over the course of the next few years that I better find out because this voice wasn't going to leave me alone. I progressively engaged in more and more, are my hands in the shot? More and more Jewish kind of activities, going to Hillel things on campus at UC Santa Cruz, instead of kind of having a policy of I don't date Jewish women because that's just discriminatory, to maybe I'll meet a woman at a Jewish service. Didn't know anything what I was doing, going to like tefillah. I would practice Hebrew calligraphy on Chagim, like Rosh Hashanah, at like a Jewish renewal synagogue. I went to every synagogue I could, and eventually what came about, this was in Berkeley 20 years ago, was that the message was go to Israel, because it became increasingly important to me to have a Jewish family for whatever reason. My mother's message to me, marry a Jew, although she couldn't tell me why. I actually asked her why because I was dating a woman who wasn't Jewish and it was getting pretty serious. I said, Mom, if you want me to marry a Jewish woman, you better tell me right now why, because I don't get the importance at all. I just thought it was discriminatory, and I was pretty assimilated, pretty confused by anything Jewish when I looked at anything Jewish books, Jewish services, prayers, rituals. She broke down in tears and she said, because I want to be friends with my in-laws. I was totally individualistically oriented. I thought, what do I care about my mother's need for friends? Find your own friends, Ma. But it also planted a seed in me And what became increasingly important was that I don't just marry a Jewish woman for whom she is just nominally Jewish, but that Judaism actually means something to her. So it was suggested to me, you might want to go be a Benbite, that's somebody who like hangs out with a family that keeps Shabbat. Options for that in San Francisco were very limited, though I did as much as I could there and connected with the community there. But it was kind of what do you call it, transitory community. You know, people come to be in a university, come for a job and leave. And the whole time, like something in my heart was calling me back to Israel. And that something in my heart was that my father is Israeli. He came to Israel in 51, stayed till after the Six-Day War, and then went to New York and to California to make a film, hi Dad, to make a film called Indiana Jones and the Last Exile of Babylon. It's a great title. He's had a script since before I was born. I actually heard that they're coming out with a new Indiana Jones. I doubt that that's the one. And his whole ambition in life was to get in front of Steven Spielberg and get an audience and give the script and have the script produced, because he desperately wanted the world to know the story. We're talking about where we are now in the Judean hills, that we are not imperialists, colonists, colonialists, colonizers. We're certainly not all Ashkenazi. And that the anti-Semitic situation is not something that can be brushed away by saying something as ridiculous as Ashkenazi Jews are all, you know, not really Jews in the first place and have just come here because of some crazy, whatever kind of paranoid stories anybody wants to tell. But that we're actually exiled from this land. Rachel Imenu is not far from there. The kever of Avotenu Agadoshim is not far in that direction. We're basically smack dab between Jerusalem, Ir HaKodesh, Yerushalayim HaBnuya, and Hebron. We're basically smack dab in the middle, with Beit Lechem just like I won't say stone's throw away because that's kind of a controversial thing to stay here. But just a hop, skip, and a jump away, we have Beit Lechem. I would say we're in the area of Beit Lechem. As Gush Etzion, like it's especially here right where we are in Efrat. Efrat literally comes up and kisses Beit Lechem. The roads here, we could literally walk to Beit Lechem in what, half an hour, something like that, half-hour jog. Okay, so coming back to what am I doing here is I had nothing to do with any of this from age 13 to 23 till I got that God call. And then things just started to develop. Yeah, I did hear some voices, you know, if you want to get Jungian, you can, but I did hear some voices. Sometimes they compelled me to change my name. The voice compelled me to change.
The sun is on your face again now. Yes.
Here, now. Better. The voice compelled me to change my name. I'm just going to say the voice compelled me to change my name to Eliyahu when I was fine just being, I was little Ellie when I was a kid. Elliot, my English name, wasn't so comfortable with it. Changed my name to Johnny because I was just like, get me away from all the Jewish stuff. And then at 15, I came back and on a trip to Israel, met my Iraqi grandmother in Katamon in Jerusalem. And my father showed me the Beit Knesset that my Saba, Chacham Salim, that's Shlomo in Arabic, Chacham Salim Kanush alav Shalom, and my great-grandfather I'm named after, Chacham Eliyahu Kanush, built this Beit Knesset after coming from Baghdad. My father always imposed on me the understanding that while growing up in San Francisco, Israel just felt like a world away. For him, it was always in his heart that we came back to Israel. We didn't come to Israel. He also imprinted on me that we didn't leave Iraq voluntarily because we immigrated to Israel. I'm going to say we, even though it was my father's experience in 1951. We left Iraq as refugees. We were forcibly evicted. The Arabic word is go and don't come back. I don't remember the Arabic word, but it's like it's one-way exit. It was violent dispossession. Whatever possessions and property we had there was not like you can sell your property before you go for the value of the property. It was like Oh, I mean, I'll just tell you just a little bit of 41, which is cause like an untold history of the Farhud, was like, gonna get graphic here. If an Arab wanted a bracelet off a baby, they'd cut off the hand, okay? There was raping and pillaging in 41. So that was the kind of the atmosphere that my father grew up in 41 till they immigrated. He was born in 42, in 51 when they came. So that's kind of like a little bit about my backstory. And then I'm in California, like a free spirit citizen of the universe, and I get this God call. And I come to Israel to be in this kind of like hippy-dippy yeshiva. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in infinite wisdom, introduced me, thank you God, to my soulmate, Rivka Adina. Woohoo! Rivka Adina. Oh my God. Then we started a family. We have 6 kids, ages 6 to 17. And we started a business called Holy Simchas. So I did not expect to come here. I'll just tell you what I'm doing here. And what's crazy that I've actually stayed here is that there was tension for me to come to Israel in general and to come to Gush Etzion, where there's been so many piguim. How do you say that? Terror attacks. It's even, the words in Hebrew, terror attacks, don't even say anything. Terror, it's a terror attack. So many like 9/11s, okay? On the heart here, just living in Barayin, there was the murder of Erez Levanon, Alav Shalom, Shlomo Nativ, Alav Shalom. When I came, I didn't have a car. I would take the bus, and I would try to meet people on the bus. I'm actually naturally an introvert. You could never tell, but I'm also an actor. But this is my real hair. I'm not being sponsored by, thank God I've got this hair. How's my hair? Okay, so I was on a bus on this very road. Hi, Adina Mark. Adina Mark, a party planner, her sister was on the bus, and I saw some teenagers on the bus. I used to work with youth. I used to run YMC summer camps for all ages, and I saw, okay, I heard some English being spoken on the bus, and I said, hey, I hear English speaking. Where do you guys live? What's the deal? Do you feel safe here? I don't remember her name, but she's Adina Mark's sister. She said, it's funny you asked me that because my mother was shot right here on this road. I don't know if you see this road back here, but that's Adina Mark's mother, Aliyah Shalom. And this thought came into my mind like, wow, this God call is powerful. If you haven't seen it, I just took my kids and my father last night to Ir David. They have this great sound and light show, and they basically showed the story of Nehemiah coming back and rebuilding. We're in a process of rebuilding. This road wasn't here. I don't know if you can see the settlement there of, is that Neve Daniel or Elazar? We're witness now to biblical prophecy, and that creeps me out breath by breath and day by day because it's so enormous. But being here for 20 years, it's also so enormous. You hear what I'm saying? It's enormous and it's enormous and it's undeniable. So I thought I was coming for 6 weeks. Because as I was dating women in my 20s who were like from completely non-Jewish, had never heard about anything Jewish, to having some non-Jewish girlfriend come to a Seder and telling me, I said, I really didn't want to go to the Seder. This is going to be a kick. My father kept going, are you coming to Seder? Are you coming to Seder? Are you coming to Seder? And I thought I can get out of it if I tell him I'll come to Seder if I can bring my non-Jewish girlfriend. And I for sure say, you know what? Ad Khan, don't come. He said, bring her and all her friends. And I did. And she, at the end of the Seder, we were in the car kind of processing the experience. And I said, wasn't that the stupidest thing you've ever experienced in your life? I said, we're singing kindergarten songs. And she said, that was amazing. You don't know what you have. You think that my family gets together and sings songs together, any songs together, talks about our family history or heritage, putting all the religious stuff aside, which I'm not in any position to judge what miracles were done for your people. It's just an amazing getting verklempt. It's an amazing cultural feature that you have. Again, I was like one of the only Iraqi Jews, and half Iraqi, half Ashkenazi, and there's family history of like, is it okay for you to marry outside of Ashkenazi and not a doctor or filmmaker? So that voice from God that God tap through that non-Jewish girlfriend planted a seed. So these seeds kept planting and growing until the next thing I know, I have 6 kids, and I'm living as a real citizen resident in Judea as a settler. I think that's a pretty thorough answer of where we are and how I got here.
I think we're going to do this in 2 parts. We're going to do Eliyahu Kanush living in Israel, and then we're going to do the Holy Simcha part and the events. So now we're going to move on, and we're going to do that. I'm actually going to stop the camera and start again so that I can see